Hello everyone and welcome to this FPL Gameweek 2 live stream with me, Holly Shand. In today's video we're going to be looking at my team for FPL Gameweek 2 and answering your questions. So thank you very much for those of you that are joining me today. I'm hopeful that we're going to have a really exciting Game Week 2 in FPL. It's been a pretty exciting Game Week 1, so hopefully we can carry on in the same manner for Game Week 2, a long season ahead, so don't be put off if your Game Week 1 didn't go as expected. We have got plenty of time to recover. My train of thought at the moment is if you've had a poor Game Week 1, then it's only green arrows from here, and let me tell you, I do know all about that. 5.7 million was my overall rank after Game Week 1, really only a Game Week rank though, I'm not too concerned, and I have already made my transfers for FPL Game Week 2. I have got a poll out already which asks who your captain is for Game Week 2. There's three options there: Haaland against Bournemouth at home, Salah against Crystal Palace at home, and other if you want to go against the grain. Those two look like the standout and most popular options though for this week. If you are in here, please do come and say hello, and if you've got questions that you would like answering, I'm going to go through as many of them as possible. I am going to start by having a look at my team selection for Game Week 2. It hasn't changed since the video that I put out on Tuesday. There are a couple of things I'm looking at though. Already made that transfer. I made the transfer from Kane to Haaland on Sunday night before the prices changed. It was a little bit brutal for those managers that may be new to the game that didn't know that prices were going to change. There will still be managers logging in tonight expecting to be able to do Kane to Haaland, but unable to because they've not got the exact funds. But I do think that it could be worth taking a hit to get Haaland in if you haven't got him already. So I'm on triple Man City now and triple Liverpool. Whether I'm on the right triple Liverpool, I don't know. Obviously, conceding 2 goals away to Fulham wasn't great, but it just shows you how good Mitrovic is going to be this season, whoever the opposition are. But triple City for Bournemouth at home certainly looks appealing, and we're doubled up on Arsenal as well. So those third and fourth midfielders are the area of my team that I'm not too keen on at the moment. However, Haaland is in and he will be my captain, I think. The thing I'm looking at is I've got Andreas on my bench at the moment, Wolves away. He looks really good in Game Week 1. Do I play him over Bailey or Neto, or do I just have him as a first sub? I think Perisic is an easy bench given the difficulty of his fixture and his lack of minutes, but it's whether I play Andreas Pereira over Bailey or Neto. But at the moment I'm thinking Bailey and Neto, first home games of the season. I'm expecting, having lost their opening Game Week 1 fixtures, I'm expecting big things from both of them in Game Week 2. So that's where I'm at the moment. Let's hop over to the chat. Nice to see a few of you in here already. So thank you very much for joining me this lunchtime. I'm going to try and keep this as the regular slot, by the way. Friday dinner time stream. I think it's a good time to do it. In terms of having a lot of the information in already, and I've got a quiet house at the moment, both the children out at nursery, so it's a good time for me to record as well. Warwick is in. Hi Warwick. Hi Steve, good to see you in here again. Tene, hello. Tarbo, Tufel, hello, thank you very much for joining. Peter is in as well, as is Niraj, so hello to all of you. If you haven't said hello already, do jump over to the chat and I'll give you a shout out. Did have an early question before I'd even got the poll done, so thank you to Chen for getting in early. Chen asked me earlier, who is better, Trippier or Dean? Now I tell you what, I'm going to get these stats up because I think it could be quite interesting and hopefully you'll be able to see them as well. I'm using the Opta Stats tool on Fantasy Football Hub. There is a link in the description, by the way. You can get 50% off your membership at Fantasy Football Hub, and I've got a mini league offer running up until about Game Week 3, I think, which is win your league or your money back, which is a great offer. So if you aren't a member on Fantasy Football Hub, check out their stats because they really are very good. But the thing that I was looking at was who impressed defensively in Game Week 1. And the team that conceded, the fewest shots on goal were Newcastle. They conceded 5 shots on goal. Granted, it was Nottingham Forest at home, so it's an easy fixture, but 5 shots on goal, 5 shots conceded, which was the lowest of any team. The fewest amount of shots in the box conceded. No shots on target conceded. No attempts from set pieces conceded. They were a bit worse in terms of headed attempt. 0 big chances conceded. So, yes, it's a very, very small sample size. We've got to remember they had a home game against Nottingham Forest. But from what I've seen already, I think they're very solid stats for Newcastle defensively. And yes, it is a small sample size, but this is what we saw from them last season as well in terms of their defensive abilities. So the fact that they put in that performance, and then conversely Aston Villa and the chances that they conceded, I think the thing is with Aston Villa though, and this is something we do need to bear in mind, that even though Aston Villa conceded 2 goals away at Brighton, their numbers weren't too bad. Only Man City and Newcastle conceded more shots than them. So that's something to consider. It's just the shots on target, which was a little bit more poor. But again, it's something that we need to consider. But, you know, maybe Bournemouth didn't create that many chances in that game. But I do think that Newcastle defence is going to be very solid this season. I'm not as convinced on Aston Villa. So for me, I would go with Trippier over... what was the other option? Was it Cash? I'm losing my place in the chat already. I'm going to keep that at the bottom. I'm going to have it open on this tab instead. I am a little bit rusty still, guys, with the live streams. I know I had a big gap, so I am going to try and get on top of keeping up with all of the questions. But that was a nice one in there. Next question then was from Steve. What are your thoughts on playing Pereira instead of Bailey, or would you stick with Bailey? So I have alluded to this already, Steve, but I think the fact that it's Aston Villa's first home game of the season means that I think we should start with Bailey. Now, I did see somewhere, someone mentioned that because Aston Villa is the early kickoff against Everton, we could get early team news. Personally, I don't think that will happen. We know when it comes to the Premier League clubs, Aston Villa are like Fort Knox. The controversy for FPL when a load of their players sold Grealish, which was when Grealish was still there, so that was 2021, and then the news leaked to the press that Grealish must be injured because people within Villa were selling him from their fantasy teams. And then we had that signing last summer of Danny Ings, which came from nowhere, no rumours at all. It is like Fort Knox at Aston Villa. We are not going to get team leaks from them for this fixture. However, there seems to be a lot of talk that Leon Bailey didn't do very well in game week 1, so is unlikely to start in game week 2. I don't think that's true. I think he's a good favourite of Steven Gerrard. I've seen lots of predictions among Aston Villa fans that he is going to start this game, so that's something to consider. I didn't think his underlying numbers were too bad either in game week 1. Let's see if I can get them loaded up here. Why isn't this doing what I want it to do? Hang on, let me come out of it and go back in. It was his creativity that was obviously more impressive. He had a shot on goal and 1 key pass, but I think he was generally quite involved in terms of final third touches, successful crosses, or crosses in general, 9 crosses. That was something that stood out to me. So I think he is going to be an important player in this Aston Villa team. So I would play him and bench Andreas. Peter asks, is Wolves' new signing Gonzalo Guedes, sorry, my pronunciation there was awful, be a top player at 6 million? For game week 3, would you bring in? Yeah, so let's start with, so this is Wolves' new signing, and there's a lot of talk amongst the community within Wolves that he's going to start as like the number 9 while Jimenez is out injured, so something to keep an eye on. Obviously he wasn't available game week 1, coming for game week 2, so he's 0.1% owned at the moment, so it could be a good differential. The trouble is Wolves have got Spurs away in game week 3, so I think he's like a monitor for Fulham, because unless we get news today in the press conferences that it's definitely going to start, I think you monitor him against Fulham and Spurs, and if he looks decent, bringing him in game week 4 for that little run of Newcastle, Bournemouth, Southampton. The other question from Peter: would you bring in Dewsbury Hall, Aronson or Bailey in game week 3? I mean, Bailey's fixtures start to turn in game week 4, so I probably wouldn't bring him in at that point when the Palace, West Ham, Arsenal, Man City, Leeds. I think that little cluster of fixtures game week 1 to 3 was the place to go when he's looking at him. Aronson is an interesting one. Obviously, Leeds have had a good start to the season. They've still got good fixtures. He is involved on quite a few set pieces, so I like him as an option. But again, are you going to be bringing him in for Chelsea at home in game week 3? I'm not too sure about that. Dewsbury Hall is an interesting one. He's still like a cheap route into that Leicester attack. Got the goal in game week 1. But, you know, last season, Dewsbury Hall played 2,000 minutes, 1 goal, 2 assists. I am expecting a step up from Leicester this season with no Europe. Fixtures are a little bit of a mixed bag. I don't think it really matters for them from an attacking perspective in terms of having difficult fixtures. So he is an option, but that's just something that we need to consider in there. Let's have a look at a few more questions then. So Warwick says, what's your thoughts? Should I stick with Mahrez to keep an extra transfer to next week or get rid this weekend? I think if I was a Mahrez owner, you started the season with Mahrez because you want him for Bournemouth in game week 2. And a lot of the predictions around the Man City fans are that Mahrez will start in game week 2, which would be brilliant news. So I think you have to keep him. I think you have to follow it through now. You've made the decision. So that would be my suggestion. The thing is, you can't get to Kulusevski, for example, and he's not got the greatest fixture this week. Arsenal's fixture this week against Leicester isn't that easy either if you wanted to go to Saka. So I think you just get the information in there, and then that's the decision that you need to make. Next question then. I've got a few more hellos as well, so I'll try and get through a few more of these questions. Make sure as well, sorry, I'm just keep flicking on tabs. I'm not quite sure where I am with those at the moment. I can see quite a few of you are in, so thank you so much for joining, everyone that is in at the moment. I think I can see that there's a fair few of you watching. 21 likes on the stream. If you are watching the stream, please hit that like button. All your support really is appreciated. Right, I've done something wrong here now. Lost my tab. There we go. Let's get the right things up. This is what happens when I multitask. It all goes to pot. We'll keep going now. There's quite a few of you in actually. Feel under pressure now. I'm not used to knowing how many people are watching me. Steve said this is a good time to stream. I have my lunch at this time. Yeah, that's why I've tried to do it during people's lunch times. Manu says, Trippier or Dunk, who to bench this week? So Trippier has Brighton away. Dunk has... Oh, they play each other, I see. I think I'd maybe bench Trippier. Sorry guys, just had to mute the mic there. Just got a bit of a tickle. Hopefully I've unmuted it right and you didn't have to hear me coughing. I'll be a pro at this in a few weeks, I'm sure. I can see some familiar names in here, so thanks everyone for joining. So, Subramaniam, something terribly wrong with Manchester United. Please tell us how to understand Manchester United and decipher the confusion. So obviously their game week 1 result was not great, was it? A 2-1 loss at home to Brighton. I think that was there was some ridiculous stat that was the first time Brighton had won at Manchester United in the Premier League. So certainly was a shock. So many high expectations for Manchester United with their new manager, new system. To be fair, I do think that the injury to Martial did scupper things because they played Eriksen in the false 9. That didn't really work. Ronaldo wasn't fully fit, and he's you know, that's not a system that they've really been going with in pre-season either. Sorry, my neighbours are having work done, so if you can hear banging outside, I do apologise. Hopefully it's not coming through on the audio. If I talk over it, hopefully you won't be able to hear it anyway. It is a worry though if you do own Manchester United assets. I mean, there's a lot that started with, you know, defenders. Rashford as well was a popular one. And we don't really know what's going to happen now. Brentford away, don't think that's really the greatest fixture for them. Then we've got Liverpool at home. Southampton away, game week 4. You know, you're looking kind of for the next home game for them to make an impact, and that isn't really until Leeds in game week 8. So for a team that showed so much promise in pre-season, it's disappointing to see them perform so poorly in this game week 1. And now they're a team that we kind of have to avoid, which is a shame. I think if you've got them, you need to be at least thinking of a plan to get rid of them soon. Maybe not this week. I think we need to give all teams 2 games, particularly teams, I know this isn't the case for Manchester United, but particularly teams who haven't had a home fixture yet. FPL River, hello Holly, hope you're well. Yes, I am, thank you. Who would you bench out of Bailey and Neto? I think I'd bench Bailey. I think Neto's got the better fixture. Home game against the promoted team. I think that's a big fixture for Wolves. And obviously I've got loyalties to Wolves because I do FPL content for them. Pratik is in. Hello, thank you for joining. Another question. Salah might be a good option for this game week. Is that for captaincy? Yeah, there's kind of 2 strains on captaincy that I've seen this week for Salah. First of all, his record. I think I did tweet this the other day. Let me see if I can get the tweet up for you guys. Just so that you can see. So Salah's game week 2 record is awful in terms of how many times he's delivered an offensive return in game week 2. Why is my internet not loading? I think it's probably because I'm trying to do too many things at once, isn't it? But yeah, in terms of the offensive returns that Salah's got this in any season for Liverpool, it's been really poor. I don't know if this is going to load, guys, and that's really annoying. I could put it on a different tab. Tell you what, I'll just read it out and you'll just have to trust me. So he's never, I think the stat was that he's never scored in game week 2. Let me just double check that though. I don't want to give you false information. Yeah, Mo Salah has never scored a goal in game week 2 of any season since he joined Liverpool in 2017. So that is the kind of downside for Salah. I don't think the game week number is really too much of an issue though. I don't think that's going to be in Salah's head. I think he can spin it round. So, you know, the fact that Salah's always scored on the opening day of the season, I think that is a thing that makes it a good thing to back Salah in game week 1, because he knows going into the season, I always score game week 1, I'm going to score in this game. He's less likely to be thinking in his own head, I never score in game week 2, what if I don't score today? So that's one thing. But the other thing, which I did share the other day, and I'm going to try and get this up on the screen. Oh, I know one way that I can do it. I just don't want to break the stream. It's risky, isn't it, guys? Let me try and put this on the screen so you can see it. Cross your fingers that this will load. Probably won't, will it? No, I'm going to give up. His record against Crystal Palace over his last 7 Premier League appearances are ridiculous. He's delivered an attacking return in the last 7 times he's played Palace in the Premier League, and at home he's delivered a minimum of 2 attacking returns over the last 3 seasons. So that's something that's really important. So I do like Salah as a captain option. However, I do think Haaland's the better option. The other thing I've seen though, and I mean, stick with me, if you don't live in the UK, you might be like, what on earth is Holly going on about here? We're in a little bit of a heat wave in the UK, and then it cools down on Monday. So Saturday, 3 o'clock, Man City, Bournemouth, it's going to be really hot in Manchester. By Monday night in Liverpool, it's going to be really cool. So that's why some managers are deciding to go Salah over Haaland for captaincy. Not myself, I must add, but that's, you know, the thinking of some managers. And also, it's a lot. If Haaland blanks and Salah's not playing till Monday night, it's a long wait thinking that he could potentially blank. So that's just something else to consider in the captaincy conversation. It's probably overthinking it, if I'm honest, guys, but you know, it's all part of that conundrum that we've got ahead of the deadline. Meho says, do you think Mahrez will start? Yeah, I do think he will. I think Pep's going to set up very aggressively. It's a very different challenge facing Bournemouth at home to facing West Ham away. And I think Pep will choose to go with Mahrez in that fixture. Could be one of them where Mahrez has got a couple of attacking returns before half-time. So that's why I think you should start with him. Harry says, would Pascal Gross do well against Newcastle? This is an interesting question. I mean, Pascal Gross, who would have called this high-scoring player in game week 1? 2 goals. But then you look at his goal-scoring record. Obviously, in 2017-18, when he joined the Premier League, he had a really great season. But since then, he's only scored like 2 or 3 goals a season. He's in 3.7% of teams. He's more known for his creativity than his goal threat. So it may be a reflection on how poor Manchester United were rather than how good Pascal Gross is. I would give it a bit more time before jumping on board. Had a super chat in from Sheriff. Thank you so much. That's my first super chat of the season. Hi Holly, who would you bench out of James, Neto and Bailey? Enjoy the content. Good luck. So one stat that I did see, and I did post this on Twitter as well, but I'm not going to be able to show you on the screen because my Twitter doesn't seem to be loading. It loads on one thing but not the other, and don't want to break the stream. But one thing I did see on Reece James, Sheriff, and I have had some comments saying that they were poor quality, but Reece James took 13 corners in game week 1, which is just ridiculous. If I direct you back onto I quite like this creativity tab on the Fantasy Football Hub Opt tool. Remember, the link's in the description if you want to sign up and get 50% off your membership. But in terms of final third touches, James was in the top 10 of all players. In terms of crosses, he was top. Really poor conversion rate though. He was top for corners with 13. He was top for free kicks in game week 1 with 4. And in terms of key passes, he was well up there as well with 3. So I do think from an attacking perspective, should Reece James play right wing back, we could see the potential for attacking returns against Spurs. So I would play him. That would mean benching one of Neto or Bailey, which becomes quite a tough decision. But I do think that Neto has the edge over Bailey. So I would put Bailey as your first sub, Sheriff. Hope that helps. Thank you so much for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. Next question then. I mean, I'm going to try and get through as many of these questions as possible in the next 40 minutes, but it's unlikely I'll be able to get onto all of them. But thank you for sending them in. Keep them coming. We're nearly at 100 viewers. That'd be great if we could hit 100. I'd be buzzing about that. So next question was from Best Pay. Hello Holly, it's a toss of the coin. Who to captain when you own Haller and Saaland? You know, I've been going so mad with this captaincy decision that they've merged into the same player, Haaland and Salah. I only own Salah, which makes the decision easier for me, yeah. One of the best pieces of advice I got, though, if you're stuck on a 50-50 decision in FPL, is toss a coin. Not necessarily because you'll go with the outcome on the coin toss, but you'll know, once you're flipping that coin, what you want the outcome to be. Rustam says, who is the best over the next 5 game weeks, Damsgaard or Onana? I mean, in terms of these new signings, there's not a lot known about them, but Onana plays for Everton, which instantly I'm thinking I'm not that. I mean, to be honest with you, I know nothing about Onana. I do know of Damsgaard because he was great for Denmark in the Euros last summer. I think he'll do really well for Brentford. I think he's a similar player to Eriksen, and he did do a very good job in the Euros in the absence of Eriksen, and I think he'll fulfil a similar role to what Eriksen did at Brentford. So I would be open to going with him as an FPL option, and the fixtures remain very good for Brentford. Look at that run. You know, no top 4 team until game week 12 when they face Chelsea, and only Man City to negotiate in game week 16 as well. So, excuse me. Remember, game week 16 is when we break for the World Cup. So if anyone has blown their wild card early, or, you know, looking for a player that's a long-term hold, Damsgaard could be very good. But the only thing I would say is that I'm always a little bit hesitant on players that are new to the Premier League. I've said this before with a number of players. I'm just putting my team back on the screen there so that you can see it. I've said this before in previous seasons that we need to just be a little bit wary of those options that are new to the Premier League. Just hit 100 in at the moment, so thank you very much, guys. If you are in here, please hit that like button as well, because all of your support will really help make the channel grow. FPL Algeria, Mahrez will start this game week over Foden. Are you in the know? This is what we need to know, FPL Algeria. Thank you for your comment though. Rub Kamal, hi Holly, which 2 to bench between Perisic, Andreas, Trippier and De Silva? Perisic is easy to bench because of the toughness of the fixture and the unknown of the minutes. I'd start Trippier for sure, and then it's between Andreas and De Silva, so you're kind of weighing up who's got the better defence, Wolves or Manchester United. I think I would probably bench Andreas and play De Silva. Obviously he got his goal game week 1, he was great for Brentford in the season that they went up to the Premier League, then missed the first season in the Premier League with injury, so that's where I'd go. And Naylor, I've also got Ward. Do you think a premium goalkeeper would be worth it at wildcard stage? I mean, the premium goalkeepers are going to outscore Ward. If you just have a look at clean sheets in game week 1, the teams that kept clean sheet, Arsenal, Bournemouth, which was a bit of a surprise, Newcastle, Chelsea, Man City. So you've got, you know, some familiar faces in there. We will get points from those options that are the premium goalkeepers, so that's something to consider, something to look at on wildcard, as you mentioned. But, you know, I've always played the game in terms of wanting to spend as little as possible on those goalkeeper options. So for me, I'm happy sticking with Ward for now. I know you kind of look at him, look at the upcoming fixtures and think, where are the clean sheets coming from? But I think he's got a great chance game week 3, 5, 6, 7 from what we've seen already. He was on a clean sheet for so long in that Brentford game, so just stick with him for now. Sam says, I'm keeping Kane. Interesting. Now, you know, Kane has potential to go off in any fixture. I know I've got Perisic up here just because I'm looking at the fixtures, but, you know, Chelsea away, not the easiest of fixtures, but, you know, Conte is a very good manager and you could see a result for Spurs there. And then a lovely little run of fixtures after that, over that next 4, Wolves, Forest, West Ham, Fulham. I don't think it's the worst idea keeping Kane. I always said game week 1, I wanted to go Kane because he had the best fixture for game week 1, but I was open to going Haaland game week 2 based again on fixtures. But the form of Haaland v the form of Kane just, you know, made it an easy decision for me. If you just have a look, I'm just going to use if it's going to work for me. I think my internet seems to be struggling with doing these comparisons. That's working. So Kane's in there. Why is this not coming up with Haaland? Oh, is it because there's like a accent on there? There we go. Yeah, that's it. So if you look at Haaland v Kane, just in game week 1, yeah, granted it is a very small sample size, but Kane produced not a lot. And Haaland was like the leading player in terms of a lot of his attacking output, in terms of XG, shots in the box, shots on target. He, you know, was great. And then you look at Kane, 1 shot v Haaland's 5, no big chances v Haaland's 4, and then Kane was a lot deeper as well compared with Haaland. And remember, Kane had a really great fixture. Haaland's was difficult. A bit more of a creativity from Kane over Haaland. You know, right now, if I was on a Spurs attacker, I'd want to be on Son. So that's why I've made the switch from Kane to Haaland, but I can admire those that want to keep the faith. Tarek says start with Bailey and bench James. I think I've already covered this when I answered the question earlier, the super chat. I would start James and bench Bailey. Sam says start Andreas. Yeah, I think I've given you my reasoning why I'm not, but I feel happy going into this game week knowing I've got a first substitute. Bailey scored and assisted v Everton at home last season and played less than 20 minutes. Yeah, I think that was the game where Bailey really burst onto the scene. So it's another reason why he could have a big performance. You know, it's nice that we're in game week 2 and we've got these benching dilemmas. It just shows you the value that we had at the start of the season. Kayla Boga says, I can't afford Kane to Haaland with one transfer. Is rolling the transfer a good idea? I mean, if there's another player in your team that you're not happy with, I would say take a -4 to get Haaland in, because for me personally, and I think looking at the poll results as well, I think in terms of captaincy, Haaland is overwhelmingly the best pick. So for me, I think that makes it easy to make that decision and justify taking the points hit by getting Haaland in and captaining him, especially if there is another player in another position that you're concerned about and you can make the funds back easily. Tane says, should I bench Robertson for Andreas Pereira? I've got TAA. Again, I'm going to have a look at the comparison, but I feel like Trent had the better game in game week 1 compared to Robertson. I do love this comparison feature, by the way, guys, on Fantasy Football Hub. And if you click on the link in the description, if you're not a Hub member already, you get 50% off your ownership and win your mini league or your money back. So yeah, so I guess there's not a lot to compare between them on the heat map. I think Robertson was more active in the box, but Trent was more prominent in final third. Similar for crosses and things like that. So it's difficult to split those two at the moment, but I would have a think about potentially keeping them and getting some, playing them both. Kura says Kane to Nunes and Reguilon to Robertson for a -4. That is a tough one. I really like Kane to Nunes. I think that's a great option. I'm a bit confused that he's selling Robertson. Are you bringing him in? I'm assuming you're bringing him in because Reguilon's going to lose his place. I think I would go with Kane to Nunes, but I wouldn't take the -4 unless you're doing the -4 to free up a Liverpool spot. I would wait. I think if you can get to Nunes for free this week, then you should absolutely do it. But if you can't get there for free, then just wait another week. Steve says, what's your thought on Salah as an asset when Darwin nails down a place? I worry that Darwin will take some of his returns, and for 13 million, I don't want that. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't think it's easy to comment on it right now because we haven't seen them start a Premier League game together. I think it's something we need to monitor over the next few weeks. Whether we want to be doubling up or whether Darwin can offer an alternative to Salah. I think while Salah's on pens, I think it's an easy decision to keep Salah. We know how prominent he's been, but we need a little bit of a bigger sample size before we can be reaching any conclusions there. So it's a wait and see for me, but I'm certainly thinking that if I'm on the wrong triple up at the moment and I would like to have Darwin in my team, and you know, hopefully I'll have an opportunity in the next few weeks to bring him in. Tarek says Neto or Bailey. I'm going to say Neto. Tom, out of Trippier, Mount and James, who would you bench for the next game week? Currently starting with Mount and James, but Trippier has arguably the better fixture. Yeah, now that one is quite a tough one. I want to say bench Mount, but that just sounds silly. So maybe it's James that needs to be the one that drops to the bench, because you can't really bench Mount, even though the fixture's difficult. He could, you know, do really well. Trippier offers a very good attacking threat in an easier fixture. Partif says, how about transferring Trippier to Walker? I think I would keep Trippier. I think Trippier is a great option. Obviously, I'm happy with Walker. Gilgamesh says, show faith with Dean or ship him. I wouldn't ship him this week because I think he's got a good fixture that it's worthy playing him in. I think in a lot of ways, if you can roll the free transfer this week, it will give you more flexibility for game week 3 because, you know, half of the teams we haven't seen in the home fixture yet, and that can be really important. I've got a flurry of hellos from Big Dog, Chewy, Snooper. Hello, everyone. Ameth says, thoughts on Casieda from Brighton? Don't know a lot about him, if I'm honest. Let's have a look at him. So 5 million midfielder. Was he the guy that they brought in when Moda got injured? I mean, I think there's probably going to be better options at 5 million, but he does have the fixtures. So if you want to take the punt, take the punt. But for me, I'd be looking elsewhere at the moment. Hey Key, I want Leicester double up on keepers. Oh, I went Leicester double up on keepers. Should I bring another goalkeeper next game week or wait for the wildcard? Wait for the wildcard. Don't waste free transfers on goalkeepers when you know that you're going to be playing a wildcard soon. Nuclear Atoms is in. Hello. Vinay, hi Holly. Is Neto a good pick for game week 2? Yep, fixture looks great on paper. FPL Gasman, great stream time. I work at home on Fridays. Yeah, there is quite a few of you in, so I think this is going to be a slot that does us well over the next few weeks. Naylor says, I've got Rashford and we'll leave him another week, I think, losing before Liverpool. Yeah, I think you need to give him another fixture. VL is tipping Ronaldo to score on Saturday. I'm not even convinced it'll start on Saturday. Away at Brentford, it's going to be an interesting fixture for sure. Kativu, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Thinking of swapping Kane to Haaland and Bailey to De Silva and free up funds for game week 3 to 5 fixtures. Do you think that's a good idea? Yes, I do. I think De Silva is going to be quite a good option this season. Nabil, what is your opinion on Luis Diaz? Should I keep him for a bit longer? Best mid to 8 million. Yeah, I think you need to keep Diaz for another game. Again, he was a player that didn't really impress in game week 1. I don't think he provided a lot, actually. I mean, to be fair, Salah didn't have the best game, but, you know, he still pulled it out the bag. But, you know, look at those charts for Salah and Diaz. I think that says enough about what Diaz did in that game, which was not a lot. He spent a lot of time out wide, didn't really get central. So I know he was popular in game week 1, but I think now Trent, Robertson and Núñez are all better Liverpool assets than Salah at the moment. So that would be my thoughts on that one. But give him another game for sure. I am going to carry on trying to answer as many questions as I can. If you are in at the moment, please hit the like button, by the way, guys, and vote in the poll as well. If we just have a look at the poll. So, hopefully I'm off mute again. So we've had 233 votes in the poll so far. 68% on Haaland, 27% Salah, 4% other. I think that's phenomenal in terms of the amount of you that have got on the response to the poll. If you haven't done already, do let me know. Let's shut that for now. Musa, I'm just to let you know, guys, I am gonna try and stay until 1. I'm probably gonna skip through the chat a little bit now so that I can answer some different types of questions than the ones we've had already. I'm not going to be able to get through every single one of them because there's a lot of you in here and you're sending a lot of questions, but it's great to see so many of you involved in the chat today as well. I just want to cover a few different topics. We've got quite a lot of repetition now. FPL Penguin is in. Hello, thank you for joining. Cole mentions the heat wave. Yeah, theories around fantasy managers are just ridiculous. FPL Penguin, Palace will be tough for us. Our midfield is so weak at the moment with all the injuries. Yeah, there's a lot going on, isn't there? And I think Klopp mentioned that he's not in a rush to sign a midfielder and not get the right one. But, Thiago's out, Ox is out, Jones is out, Keita's flagged, Jota flagged as well. They are looking a little bit threadbare in that area at the moment. But I still think that they'll have a good game against Palace. Kempy is in. Thanks for joining, mate. Good to see you in the chat as well. Tarbo has said, will Haaland still be on penalties even if Mahrez is on the pitch? Pep got asked this question post-match about who was now on penalties, and he gave some wishy-washy answer, something about, whoever, is confident when a penalty is won can take it, but, Haaland, confidence, yeah, those two words basically mean the same thing. So I think Haaland is going to be on penalties. I think if Mahrez was to win a penalty, then it may be a different matter. But, Mahrez isn't necessarily always on the pitch anyway. So I think that penalties are Haaland's to lose now. And, he's got a great record. That was another thing as well, which made me think Haaland's going to be a must-have. The fact that he is on penalties for Man City. Vinesh says, any predicted transfers for game week 3? Not at the moment. I mean, I've already used the transfer in game week 2. If I show you on, this is the My Team tool, by the way, guys, on the hub. If I show you, so this is my team for game week 2. I bench Perisic. And Andreas is first sub. You can then click it. It's predicting me to score 68.5 points game week 2. When it comes to game week 3, I've got Ward at home to Southampton. I've got my double Man City of defence away at Newcastle, double Liverpool defence away at Man United. Perisic will come in for Neto, who's got a tricky fixture. Saka and Jesus have got Bournemouth away, which is a decent fixture. I'd probably, depending on how Bailey's getting on, I might play Andreas at home to Brentford. I'm not looking at that team for game week 3 thinking I'm going to need to make wholesale changes. I mean, famous last words, obviously, because a lot can change in the meantime. But I'm hoping that game week 3 I can potentially roll that transfer. So Ben has asked, when is the best week to use a first wildcard and which main premium should I first target? I mean, just looking at the fixture calendar, we've got an international break between game week 8 and game week 9, and then we have quite a few, if I get the fixtures up, we have quite a few fixture swings around that time. So you'll see Arsenal's nice run is coming to an end. Chelsea's run from game week 9 onwards improves. Liverpool's run kind of gets to a nasty bit game week 8 to game week 11. So it's going to be a bit of a crossroads at that point. So given it's the international break as well, you've got a couple of weeks to make changes, you're far enough away from the transfer window being closed, that's going to be a popular time. There is an argument to wildcarding earlier. The transfer window shuts sometime between game week 5 and game week 6. The biggest thing for me though is game week 5 is a midweek game week. So we've got, weekend fixtures 2, 3, 4, but then 5 is a midweek, 6 is weekend. We are going to see quite a lot of congestion and rotation around that time. So that kind of puts me off going for the early wildcard. But everyone's got to use their wildcard before game week 16. I don't think there's any point holding the wildcard past game week 9. So if you get to a point in the next 7 weeks where you feel like you really need to use the wild card and not save it for the international break, that is absolutely fine as well. But that was a good question, Ben, so thank you for asking that one. Martin says, should I keep Vardy or take a hit to get Haaland? I'd be interested to know if you've got another route, Martin, because Vardy, I know he didn't do anything in game week 1, but he does generally start the season strong. And you don't really need to look at fixtures for Vardy. You can't look at his underlying stats because he never has any. But, like, I feel like he loves scoring against Arsenal. I'm going to look it up, actually. I always use Transfer Market just to see player records against various teams. Hopefully this is going to come up okay. I can't remember if there's a particular reason why he likes playing Arsenal, but he scored more Premier League goals against Arsenal than any other team. And away, he scored in his last couple of away games. So if there was another route to Haaland, Martin, I would certainly consider it. Sorry, I've completely lost my place now in the chat. I do apologise. Hopefully I might just have to choose somewhere to jump back in, but keep the questions coming, guys, as well, because I'm going to just jump around a bit now. There's a lot of questions on who to bench and who to start, but hopefully from my own team you can kind of reach your conclusions on my opinion on that. Pragzan says, should I keep Gabriel Jesus or downgrade to Mitrovic? I do think Mitrovic looks like a really good option. If you doubled up on the Arsenal attack, then it could be a good idea to make that move, but maybe not. See, the fixtures are just so good for Arsenal that it makes it really difficult, and obviously Jesus looked very good in pre-season as well, so that's why I'd maybe be inclined to keep him. It is a tricky decision. I'd give him a bit longer though. Kalpesh says, what about Jack Harrison? Yeah, Jack Harrison was another player who creatively really impressed me in game week 1. I don't even need that, do I? It's just his creativity was ridiculous. So he's top for key passes with 7. He was top for big chances created with 2. Top for XA with 1. And did he get 1 assist? Let me check that. Yeah, he got 1 assist. So really impressive numbers from Jack Harrison. And I think with Rafinha gone, he's going to be a player that excels this season for Leeds. Subham said, hello Holly. Now, I do recall your name, Subham. He's just a very high rank of 100 last season with my help. Thank you very much. Bench Neto or Bailey? I would bench Bailey. That would be my advice. It's showtime. Best 4.5 million defender. Let's have a look through because I think there may have been a few price changes now. But in terms of those 4.5 million defenders, I think Dunk's still a very good option at 4.5. I think he was on my watch list actually. Who else have we got? I do like James Justin. He looks quite advanced again. In game week 1, obviously avoid the Man United defenders now. Still like the look of Johnny as well. They'd be the types of players I would be considering if you're still in the market for a 4.5 million defender. Is Cornet a good option with West Ham's fixtures? Right, the trouble is with West Ham, and I will, hopefully you can see this if I get up their squad. Look at the amount of options they've got in that midfield. In terms of those attacking type players, they've got Fornells, Lanzini, Benrahma, Vlasic. Now they've got Cornet as well. They've got Samaka as another option to Antonio up front. Bowen in there obviously as well. There's a lot of competition there for places. Is he going to get the minutes? I mean, if he looks nailed on, that's great. But I wouldn't be taking a punt on him now. I think you give it time. At least see how he performs against Forest. The long-term fixtures are pretty nice, to be fair. A 5, 6, 7 cluster's a bit more difficult. But yeah, just give him a little bit of time. Obviously, he's going to get way more chances than he ever did in the Burnley lineup. I think we've hit 150 concurrence, guys, as well. So thank you for that. I do think Cornet will get chances. He is one to watch, but maybe more of a watch list player rather than a pick right now sort of choice. Saliba is the best 4.5 million defender. Yeah, Ben White's doing it very well at right back, but it's only a matter of time before Tomiyasu slots in, and then can White get back in that centre back pairing? I think if Saliba's there, I think Saliba's going to hold it down, but you know, it could only take one mistake from Saliba and then White's back in, so it's a tricky one. This is why I ended up swerving that Arsenal defence in the end, which is a shame because there's so many good value players, but they all had a little bit of a downside. Arpit says, I've got both Son and Kane. Should I swap one for Haaland? Yes, I would go Kane to Haaland. You might not be able to afford the straight swap now, though, if you've not got money in the bank, because Haaland has gone up to 11.6 and Kane's gone down to 11.4. I think as well that I don't know where to find this now on the Hub website. I believe someone might be able to point me in the right direction. I believe that Haaland has the potential to go up in price again tonight, so that's something to look out for. Walid said, thoughts on Coutinho? Keep him and roll the transfer or change him. I was never that hot on Coutinho anyway, and I don't think he's done anything in game week 1. The trouble is, who do you go for? So Coutinho's 7, right? Or he did start at 7. I mean, you could go James Ward-Prowse. He's going to tick over with attacking returns. Already got a goal in game week 1. You could go Martinelli if you've not got him already. In terms of that kind of 6 to 7 bracket, there's not a great amount of options. They're looking a bit thin on the ground, but they would be... I think probably Martinelli would be my first choice replacement. Oh no. Vlasic has moved now. Love your FPL name, Holly. Thank you, Brian. Sorry guys, I've lost my place in the chat again, so I will try and do more questions, but I may have just skipped some. I'll try and find where I was. Nunes as a captain option, thoughts? I did read somewhere that Bobby Firmino is one short of his 200th appearance for Liverpool and a home game at Anfield. Could Nunes be used as a sub again? There's potential, so I think that just put me off captaincy. Charles, Salah is and will always be my captain until game week 38. Wow. George, what would you do with Rashford? I would keep him for another week. Harry said, should I swap Maddison for Bowen? No, I was impressed with Maddison's performance. Had a lot of shots on goal. I think he had 6 shots. He was top for shots, and he also did pretty well for key passes as well. So that's something to keep an eye on. Justin, hi Holly, love your content. Thank you. Zoltan, planning to move James out for Walker and double up on the City defence. I'm not convinced in Chelsea. Yeah, I do like doubling up on the City defence, but whether I'd lose Reece James, I think there was enough in his performance to justify keeping him for game week 2, even though the fixture's tough this week. You may live to regret that. Omni Shambles, Tomiyasu soon to be 4.4. Yeah, he could be an absolute bargain if that comes off. That's something that I'll be fairly interested in seeing what happens there with that one. Spanner, keep the faith in Sterling or go down to Foden. I don't think Foden would be where I would drop down to. I think Saka, Maddison, Kulusevski, all better options. I think, obviously, on fixtures, maybe Saka's the best to go for this week, but I think maybe just give Sterling one more game before you make that move. Sterling's going to get plenty of chances for Chelsea. He should do well this season. Big Dog Cry, Walker 6-point man. Yeah, he is, but who cares? I'm very happy having Walker in my team. Look at how good Man City's fixtures are. Bournemouth, Newcastle, Palace, Forest, Villa, the next 5. The trouble is, if like De Bruyne looks really good, or you know another player from Man City really starts to perform in the midfield, I'm not going to be able to get to them easily. Last chance, guys, to vote in the poll if you haven't done so already. And as you can see, if you've missed it already, my team is on there now. If you've got any quick questions before we round things up, please drop them in. And if I try and do something fancy, if you're not already in my mini league yet, the code is on your screen now. I think it's also, it should hopefully be in the description for this video as well, with a link to auto join. Yeah, it is 96EPMP. Channel memberships as well, also live for this season. You get let me just check that I'm not going to mess up if I go to it. No, that should work okay. Channel memberships are also live if you want to get involved in that. So $1.99 budget pick, you get all the loyalty badges next to your name in the chat and custom images to use as well. And then $4.99 is the premium pick. You'll also get access to my Discord channel in there as well. And as I said at the start, this offer I've shown you all the tools with Fantasy Football Hub, but if you click the link in the description of this video, you get the 50% off your membership and win your mini league or your money back is the offer that they are running certainly in the next month. So if we have a look back then on the poll, has been a few quick questions come in, so I will just answer a few of them. Tunji, Kulu, a good hold, yes, keep him. Trippier to Walker, I would do next week if I didn't have any problems. Nuisance, start James, Andreas or Dean. I would start James in there. So the results of the poll, it's quite an interesting one. 69% of you. Let me end this now. How do I see the results though? I'm so bad at this. 69% on the poll went for Haaland captain. I think we had over 250 votes in that. Oh, 345 votes. Thank you guys. Oh, it did swing a little bit at the end. 68% for Haaland, 26% Salah, 4% others. So thank you to everyone that voted on the poll. It was an interesting one, that's for sure. I am going to wrap things up here, but I will be back at the same time next week with another live stream. So if you don't already, please like this one, subscribe to the channel and hit that notify button, and that will tell you whenever I have gone live. But thank you so much for joining. There's been a lot of you in today, which has been great to see. So thank you so much everyone that has joined the stream. Hope you keep coming back. I think this has been, you know, a nice time slot for you guys. So hopefully I'm not clashing with anyone else and we can keep going with these in this slot as well. So thanks so much, and I'll be back very soon.